Welcome. In front of me I have the Microsoft Surface Duo, and even though this is a little bit late, about a year late, I'm gonna go over an unboxing and a quick overview of this phone or tablet or whatever it falls under. So anyway, I will mention that I did already in a way unbox this. It is set up, so yeah, getting that out of the way. Device is right here. Now, just for comparison, this is something like a Huawei Mate 20 Pro, so you can see the size difference. Honestly, it's not as big as you would probably expect. For instance, when compared to something like a new, iPhone 13 Pro Max. Honestly, the Pro Max is basically the same size. But in terms of screen real estate, obviously this one will have way more of it. And objectively, the usability of two screens is a little bit better than just single one and trying to split screen with it. So anyway, under the phone we got a bumper case, which I do have to give props to Microsoft for including one. Even though it is kind of bare minimum, as you can see, just a little bit here and a little bit there on the other side. It's fairly minimal, only protects the edges, which are plastic, so I guess it's better than not protecting them at all. But still fairly minimal, and also nice that it was included with the device. So I'm just gonna put that back, toss to the side. Apart from that, we do have a charger. Now this phone was released at a time where chargers still came with the device, so that's why you're seeing it. Now let's see how you take that out. And just like slide it out. Whoa, it's kind of falling apart. Why doesn't it want to come out? There we go. So we get a fairly weird looking brick right here. We also get the plug right here. So I'm just gonna toss that in here, put it to the side. So these are a little bit more universal, so obviously you can change these out. I believe you can most likely buy from Microsoft the different little heads like that for different countries. So this one is obviously for Europe, at least where I am, Poland exactly. Then we get some instructions, just toss that to the side. And in here we get probably one of the longest cables I have seen. So if you look at this, this is not a short cable. This has some length to it. And additionally, headphones. So obviously the device comes packed with different little things in here. So anyway, I just pop it open. There we go. And like I mentioned, the device is already set up. So right off the bat you could see I did unlock it with a fingerprint sensor, which is right here. It is though plastic, a little bit kind of weird, but it is reliable from what I've used. As you can see, it unlocks it fairly quickly. It works actually really good. So before I get into like specs of it, I will mention that this is basically a year later, like I said, and a lot of the problems that people were having from the initial like reviews of this device have been flashed out. Not all of them, but a lot of them have been. And to be fair, for the price that this device runs at right now, or you can get it with like carrier locked for $400 or just fully unlocked for $600, this device is actually respectable for the price, especially what it delivers to the device or to the table. And if you don't mind dealing with some jankiness on the side, so as an example, if you close it, right, you try to flip it, it sometimes doesn't do this. Right now it seems to be doing just fine. But it doesn't always work. Sometimes you will just try and double tap it and it's gonna decide to not respond to you at all. So that is something that you might have to get used to. Other than that, the responsiveness of the device sometimes struggles. As an example, going into like recent applications, like you have this little lag there. It's not instant, and it is running a Snapdragon 855, so it should be more than capable of doing this. But anyway, let's get to the specs of it. So right here we have two same basically displays. Both of them together have about 8.1 inches in space, and the resolution would be 1800 by 2700 pixels. That puts it at about 400 pixels per inch density, along with a very inaccurate 144% screen to body ratio, unless it's counted really weirdly. I don't exactly know how it's counted. So anyway, about 401 pixels per inch, and screen to body ratio most certainly below 100%, most certainly below 80%, I would say. As you can see, I have huge, and I mean huge bezels right here on the top and the bottom. Let me max out the brightness just so it's a little bit better visible. So yeah, screen is really nice, and moving on, it is running an Android 10. Now, I did look right, like, I don't know, yesterday for it, and apparently Microsoft did claim that they are planning to bring Android 11 to this device, the Surface Duo 1, which I assume they stated that it's going to happen before the end of the year, which I assume might happen somewhere along the same time when the Surface Duo 2 will be released. So hopefully Android 11 will bring some other flash outs to the performance of this device that Microsoft still hasn't done yet. But anyway, let's keep on going. So apart from that, we do have a Gorilla Glass 5. I believe it's front and back. We have a plastic little bezels right here, glass back, and obviously front. If you look at this, this is all glass, and inside glass. And this, well, obviously is plastic, so this is the least durable part of the device. Now, moving past the build right here, we can move into the internals. So like I mentioned before, we're running a Snapdragon 855 with 6 GB of RAM. Honestly, I would expect this to be fairly enough to run this, so I don't know why it's kind of like sometimes lagging in performance. It's not always as snappy as you would expect it. Now, to be fair, once this device was released, these specs were already outdated. 855 Snapdragon was a generation behind, but the device was in the works for probably a little bit longer than majority of the other devices are. So yeah, and now that the Surface Duo 2 is coming, again it's going to be a generation behind with the Snapdragon 888, while everybody's already getting the 888 Plus, or by the time the device might come out, we might already have a newer even Snapdragon. So yeah, still Snapdragon 855, from what I've tested, it runs fine. It can even play games fairly reasonably. So as an example, you can rock Genshin Impact on here without any problem. It does get really warm, but don't expect to max out everything. Now moving on to the storage, we have 128 GB built-in storage or 256. So you have two different options, and unfortunately there is no SD card expansion slot, only a SIM card. So if you're thinking about skimping out and just popping an SD card, you're not going to be able to do that. And moving on to camera department, which is the biggest disappointment of this device if you're just planning to take normal photos. This right here is the only camera you have. Yeah, that hurts. And on top of that, it's an 11 megapixel shooter. So yeah. Now if I flip this, you can see there's no cameras here, no cameras here, and obviously no cameras here, here, or anywhere else. This is a single camera, and if you launch it, there we go. It gets a little bit gimmicky with using it. So you can shoot selfies like that, which you can see me right here. And if you want to take pictures of something, you do this. Whoop. Alright, it's still in selfie mode, and now decided to flip. Oh, there we go, there is some jankiness in this, like I mentioned before. Oh, I think I got it. There we go. It stayed. So you could right off the bat see a little bit of a jinkiness right here where it just flips the sensors, and when you would flip it would think that it's on the other way, on the other side, so it decided to switch it up anyway. Now if I just capture a single photo right here, let's see how it will come out. Now you can do other interesting things. So as an example, if I open this up, I can flip it, there we go. I can go into the camera and let's split screen it, so you get this kind of view right here. So you just place it down, so you have the camera right here, and automatically you have whatever you have captured right here. So if you capture more, you can see that they will start appearing here. So you can shoot shots right here and instantly see what you have taken. So it is a quite nice little feature. Now it is a gimmick to do with the 2 screens, and not everybody might find this especially useful. And obviously, as you've probably seen, let's go back to the photos. You can see this is the photo that it takes. So honestly, for a 11 megapixel selfie camera that is used as a main camera, it does better job than you'd probably expect, but it still lags behind any kind of other device that was released at that time. And as an example, my daily driver is this, the Mate 20 Pro, and obviously this will take way better photos than this without any kind of question. And on top of that, it is going to be cheaper as well when you're buying it secondhand, because, well, these don't sell anymore. And even though this is technically better in terms of cameras and has a bunch of other features like wireless charging, which this does not have, under finger display sensor, and a couple additional features, I still have to say I really like this device way more than I would have expected it to like it. The overall benefit of having 2 screens far outweighs the downsides of it, in my opinion. So being able to just comfortably multitask and do 2 things at once, or if you don't feel like it, just folding it like this and having just a single one is such a nice experience that I cannot get over it. And additionally, you have that amazing sound when you just like close it. Let me just put that to the camera, to the microphone. This thump, ooh, it's so good. Oh my god, that is amazing. So obviously the hinges right here are top notch. It doesn't wobble at all, as you can see. Obviously if you like flip it, it will move, but other than that, it is fairly stable. It doesn't have any kind of give to it. So whatever position you move it, it stays at it. It has no give to it. To be fair, if Microsoft ever fails at making computers and Windows is, they can still stay strong in the hinge business. So yeah. Now moving on to the last part, which a couple things that I'll mention at the end, I guess. So let's finish off. Battery wise, we have 3577 milliamp hour battery, which, if you're going to be obviously using this phone for a decent amount of hours, it won't last you an entire day. But as an example, if you do this, only use 1 screen at a time, don't decide to go completely bonkers on dual screen split screening and just utilizing those, you should get comfortably throughout the entire day without any kind of problem and just worry about running out of the battery. So even though it's a small battery in here, it still is sufficient enough to get you through the entire day. So anyway, moving on to a couple notable things that I should mention. From what I've heard, people have problems with the Type-C charging port right here because it is plastic and some bands will basically break it. So that's something that you might want to watch out if you're planning to get this device. Number 2, it does not have NFC. If you have a watch like this, as an example, I have an Apple Watch right here, you should be good to go. Just basically get Google Pay on the device, and even though it does not support NFC payments because it does not have NFC, you can do it with your watch as long as you pair it up together and copy all the data that you need so you can pay with your watch. So that's not such a problem nowadays, at least what I would consider not a problem. And I don't know what else to say. Obviously, the device is not designed for the typical average user that has just a typical, pancake phone, right, like this one. This is more for like business. It does come with basically full-fledged offices, licenses and stuff like that. So you're basically getting on top of that a license for basically a whole suite of Microsoft Office programs for free in a way, or you get a phone for free and pay for the services, depending how you want to look at it. But basically, if you consider that you pay $600 for the device and you get the phone, which is objectively really nice. I have to say I really like it more than I would have expected it. You also get basically Microsoft Office, so Words and stuff like that, basically included with the device for free. You don't have to pay for the license, it comes with the device. So, finishing this off, the device, at least in 2021, though it is outdated and has some gimmicks to it like the selfie camera and small battery size, no wireless charging or NFC, for the most part, I still think it really holds up, even though it was what I would consider a early adopter's prototype kind of device. You can obviously see that it looks kind of wonky, but to be fair, Surface Duo 2 hasn't really changed much in design wise. They did add 2 or 3 triple camera setup at the back, so that is one benefit, but it creates a camera bump, so you won't be able to do this anymore. Fully close it. You will have a camera bump which will basically prevent it from shutting all the way, keeping basically like a wedge shape. But still, this device right now, for the price that it's selling, I have to say it's really nicely priced. If you can get it for like $500, that is a really good deal for this device. And honestly, I really like it. Now, like I mentioned before, this device isn't for everybody. So obviously, people that like to take a lot of photos with their phone, you won't have benefit in this one right here. It's a let's be honest, a crap camera right here. But the people that want to really, for instance, utilize dual screens, multitasking, maybe playing games on the device, meaning emulation. For instance, DS emulation here is just top-notch, because you can just virtually do this, have screen with a game, screen with a touchpad. It's really nice. And obviously you can play games, watch YouTube at the same time. You can do a lot of things with 2 screens. And even though there is also a couple different phones that tried this kind of feature, as an example, LG, obviously, these phones never succeeded in any way, and this implementation right here seems to be the best try yet, and it works really well with, like I mentioned, a little bit of jank. So anyway, to conclude this, if you're really looking for basically a multitasking kind of like work device, this is a really good one. Now, if you're looking for a lot more power, you might want to hold off and wait for the second version of this, so the Surface Duo 2. But if you don't care to have like the newest or almost newest Snapdragon, 8 gigs of RAM and triple camera setups at the back, for instance, if you don't care about the cameras and performance that much, then this one will be a way cheaper option with basically virtually almost the same kind of experience. So anyway, if you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.